MKBHD, better known by his YouTube channel's name, Marques Brownlee, has been the topic of discussion lately for all of the wrong reasons. He's gone from being one of the most well-respected figures in the YouTube tech community to being outright flamed on the internet for some of the things that he's recently done. Some of those things might really surprise you, like charging $50 for a literal picture of the color orange, or even endangering the lives of children by driving way too fast in a school zone. So, in today's video, we're going to be taking a look into those attempts to cancel MKBHD over the last couple of weeks. And we're also going to be talking about whether or not his reputation is salvageable at this point, especially in the wake of his recent apologies on Twitter. So without any more delay, let's talk about the surprising controversies that are now looming over MKBHD and his reputation as a wholesome content creator. So if you didn't know, Marques Brownlee is currently the biggest tech reviewer on all of YouTube, having gained over 20 million followers across 3 different channels. He's pretty much known for the high production quality on his videos, but he's also known for his extensive knowledge on the tech field. Early on in 2024, MKBHD would go on to make 2 different reviews that would put him in the public eye for all of the wrong reasons. The first one of those reviews had him talking about a new car that had been recently released, called the Fisker Ocean. In the other video, he talked about a piece of wearable tech called the Humane AI Pin, which basically clips onto your shirt and has an AI that's voice controlled. But its main feature is a projector of your hand that shows you more information about the things you ask it. Keep in mind that both of these products were made by startups that are both relatively new to the industry. It's going to be important later on, so just keep that in mind. Both of those products received extremely negative feedback by Marques. Marques called the Fisker Ocean the worst car he's ever reviewed. It had a ton of problems, like how the screen on the dashboard had tons of bugs. Not to mention that the whole system crashes constantly. The interior of the car was also pretty much unfinished and broken too. And on top of all that, the other product that he reviewed had a faulty AI that never answered questions correctly, and the device itself overheated most of the time. Talking about the negative aspects of the pin, Marques said, "But I will say, at one point, my working title for this was, this product is either the dumbest thing ever, or I'm an idiot. Because yes, it's really bad now." Those negative reviews he made on these products made a lot of people turn their attention towards Fisker's stock, which at the time had seemingly gone down to below $1 in value, all because of Marques' review. These reviews created a ton of controversy because a lot of people believed that Marques was actually the one in the wrong for leaving such bad comments on the products. The main reason why people were rubbed the wrong way was because people just didn't want to see young companies get killed altogether. Following this drama on Twitter, the user Daniel Vasallo tweeted, "I find it distasteful, almost unethical, to say this when you have 18 million subscribers. Hard to explain why, but with great reach comes great responsibility. Potentially killing someone else's nonsense project reeks carelessness. First, do no harm." That backlash got so bad that even other YouTubers actually came to Marques' defense. One of the most notable of those instances was when a YouTuber that you all must likely know by now, Moist Critical, would actually speak out in support of MKBHD. In a video that he posted called "Negative Reviews Are Controversial Now," he went on to say that it's pretty much the job of people in a position like Marques to leave fair and honest reviews, and that it would be unfair to everyone who watches his videos if he did otherwise.
Out that something's bad. How could you say that this product from multi-billion-dollar company is not good? What do you do? It's gonna get better, obviously. Just buy it and be happy. What do you do? You're pushing people away from buying it. Think of all the people that worked hard on this. No, just go buy it. What to buy? Consume and be happy. How could you possibly say it's bad? That kind of thing. It's so infuriating. Like, it's weird to be at this point where people feel like an allegiance to companies so much so that they will actually make their whole identity around them and fighting for their honor. Do no harm. He's a tech review channel, not a doctor. What are you talking about? This man's actually shedding tears. Won't somebody think about the billion-dollar corporations, for goodness sakes? For crying out loud. No one cares about the companies anymore. What a world. We used to be a proper society. This man's going on this whole spiel over him giving a scathing review to a trash product. And it is a scathing review, but it's also a super fair one. The whole point of reviews is to educate the audience on the product so they can make an informed decision on whether or not that's worth their hard-earned money. And in the case of the AI pin, the Humane AI pin, the answer is a resounding no from anyone with a functioning frontal lobe. It's garbage. It's fucking fish paste.
All the backlash that had accumulated would eventually lead to Marques making a response video, which was a video called "Do Bad Reviews Kill Companies?" In the video, he would go on to say that it wasn't his fault that Fisker's stock was plummeting, but that it had actually been happening months before that. But the main focus of Marques's video was that, in contrast to what the internet had been saying, it wasn't necessarily bad reviews that kill companies, but rather it's bad products. In the video, he said, "But one thing has definitely been clear and constant throughout all of this, which is anytime the company goes under, you don't get those bad reviews without the product being bad to begin with, obviously. I have a massive amount of respect and appreciation for people and groups of people who are actually making new stuff, like building products. That's the hard part at the end of the day. And we get to get a bunch of new exciting things that might change the world. And that's really exciting. All that any honest review actually does is just accelerate whatever was already going on. Think of it that way."
Really, really bad. So there's been a lot of interesting discourse lately on this topic. There will be, some negative reviews, and then a company will eventually go out of business, and then the internet poses the question, do bad reviews kill companies? Do bad reviews kill companies? Or do bad products kill companies? I do have a lot of thoughts. So two of the biggest examples that have been pointed to, especially on Twitter, were the Fisker Ocean review that I did and the Humane AI pin from a couple days ago. So the Fisker saga was pretty well documented, but in case you missed it, I reviewed a car, I had a pretty horrible experience with it, documented it, published the review on the autofocus channel, and then a few months later, the entire company appears to be on life support, likely filing for bankruptcy soon. And now this startup, Humane, they dropped their first product, this pin. I review it, it's not super positive. A lot of people are saying the same thing. And I don't even think Humane is going anywhere, by the way. But I think there is some pretty simple logic we can use to decipher what the real danger is to these companies, which is, do you still get a bunch of negative reviews and then die as a company if the product is actually really good?
This response to all the controversy had seemed to clear the air for the time being. People in general started to agree with both Critical and Marques, and honestly, things seemed like they were starting to go really well for MKBHD. He started to make more reviews, and he even made an unfavorable review on a product called the Rabbit R1. But this time without any backlash, because of how well his response went for him last time. But surprisingly, this lack of controversy wouldn't last very long. In September of 2024, Marques released a smartphone app called Panels, and it promised to be a space where people can just download wallpapers for their phone. But the really weird part about it was that the app itself didn't just have the features that everyone expected it to have, like being forced to watch ads in order to unlock more wallpapers. But there were insane subscription tiers that went up to as much as $50 per month just to download more wallpapers. So because of this, as you'd expect, the release of the app was met with tons of backlash. And of course, people didn't want to pay more than what they're already paying for their everyday subscriptions as it is, especially not for an app whose only feature is to download backgrounds for your phone. The backlash on Twitter got so bad that people began to joke about the fact that there was literally a wallpaper called Orange on the app that was just a picture of the color orange that costed $50. And unironically, people had actually found an old tweet that Marques posted back in 2016, where he said, "Golden rule number 1 of the internet, never try to charge for something that was already free." All the discovery of that tweet did was to add more confusion and backlash to a situation that already had spurred up enough negativity for Marques. But he would go on to make a video responding to all of that backlash. In the video, he basically cleared the air about some of the horrible design flaws of the app, and he made it clear that he would walk back the ridiculous pricing tiers.
Has rightfully gotten. Then you get to the enormous variety of opinions about the app itself. And of course, in the chaos of launching like this and ending up in the top 10 of the App Store, is we get a lot of information about usage and responses from people, and we find all kinds of bugs. Bugs were always expected, we're already on that. But also for the design itself, my philosophy actually was to just try to make as close to the same exact experience as possible between iOS and Android. Same UI, same feature set, same everything. And some people like that, some people don't. Obviously a lot of this is a matter of taste, but some people especially want an Android app to feel to use the slide out menus and to feel like a native Android app versus iOS. So that is something I'm thinking a lot about, and there are also pieces of it like image preview and onboarding that we want to improve a lot. One of the weirdest things I saw was this rumor that we'd bought an old existing app and then repackaged it and slapped my face on it. This is very false. I actually found where this came from. Basically, people saw that the panel's Twitter account appears to be from 2021. That's literally because we repurposed an old and inactive Twitter account. I hope you know that that sounds as ridiculous to me as it does to you. But the other thing that came up was that the app being filled with AI generated art. That's also not true, but I should explain how we got to this. So there are a few pieces that were edited using AI. Like some of these skyscraper pieces by Chris Heath are a really good example.
At this point, Marques being under scrutiny seemed like it was completely over with. But just like before, that surprisingly wasn't the case. In November of 2024, just a couple weeks ago, on Autofocus, which is his second channel dedicated to reviewing new electric cars, MKBHD was trying to show off the features of the engine in his new Lamborghini. But in that video, for a brief moment, you can see he's speeding, but not just that, he was actually driving in a school zone. After realizing what he had done, Marques tried to blur out the speedometer out of the video, not knowing that another screen in the car could actually be clearly seen displaying the speed of his car. Marques even tried to remove the clip altogether using the editing software on YouTube that can be used for videos that have already been posted onto the website. But as we all know, once something is on the internet, it's there forever. In response on Twitter, Marques tweeted, "Last video, I did something pretty stupid. You might have already seen it, but maybe not, so I'll address it here. There was a clip with the action cam of me test driving a car and going way too fast. Absolutely inexcusable and dangerous. I've since cut it out of the video with YouTube's editor tool. I also understand that this looks like covering it up, but I think it's the right thing to do. There's no reason to leave that clip in. There was no reason to include it in the first place. And I would never want to make it seem okay by leaving it in the video. I'm well aware of the Streisand effect, and I know everything on the internet lives forever, but I think that's the best decision right now. All I can do is apologize and promise never to do anything close to that level of stupidity again. That's a terrible example to set, and I'm sorry for it." Now, if you didn't know, the Streisand effect is basically when more attention is attracted to something that someone is trying to hide. And that's exactly what happened here. The situation itself is really unfortunate, but I actually have to give props to Marques on not making any excuses in his apology here, as he completely owned up to the fact that what he did is extremely unacceptable and the fact that he never should have posted it or done it to begin with. And someone owning up to the responsibility of their own actions is kind of a rarity on the internet nowadays. So after all that we've talked about in today's video, I think there's a lot to keep in mind when looking at the bigger picture of these controversies as a whole. The whole Lamborghini sponsorship controversy has turned into an important lesson that I think a lot of content creators, especially ones with a far-reaching platform, can all learn from. Marques' response actually highlighted something deeper about the concept of accountability. What stood out to me personally was his approach to removing the controversial clip from YouTube. He wasn't trying to salvage his reputation, but he genuinely wanted to prevent setting a problematic example. That's actually kind of respectable. Acknowledging a mistake isn't just about saving face, but about understanding the broader impact of your actions. Now, when it comes to the wallpaper app, I definitely think that for other content creators like KSI, with the whole Lunchly situation, who put a product or service out onto the internet, there's a crucial lesson here about handling feedback. Whether it's praise or criticism, being able to internalize different perspectives is really important. But honestly, the whole situation has me genuinely wondering about his wallpaper app's future. After all the changes to the major design flaws were made, I'm actually really curious to see what the people who use the new app will actually think about it. Anyways, I'm curious as to what you all think about this situation. Is Marques' online presence salvageable at this point? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, and I'd really appreciate it if you consider subscribing, because we are almost to 200,000 subscribers, which I also want to say a huge thank you for. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and if I sound very if I sound weird, it's because I'm coming over a cold, and I just wanted to post more videos, so yeah, sorry. I'm trying to sound as decent as possible. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully I won't be as stuffy.